Hello, everyone, and welcome to my video podcast, Authenticity. I'm Anna Toothman, and as many of you know, I'm a life coach, I'm a spiritual mentor, and I also have quantum activation available for those at that level interested in some extra magical nuggets. Visit my website at annatoothmanpurposefullifecoach.com. Today, we're going to talk about self talk. So I'm really excited to get into it, right, Dawn?
Yes. So hi everyone, I'm Dawn Licht. I am the CEO and founder of the Heartful Academy. I'm a relationship coach that specializes in the relationship that you have between you and you. And I have a podcast called the New Dawn Podcast, as well as a YouTube channel. So this is a topic that is extremely relevant to me as well, that we're talking about today. And I can't wait to get into it with you, Anna.
I'm really excited to get into it as well. I was just making sure that that post was pinned, excuse me. I once thought about getting into essential oils as well. I remember when it came in strong that somehow it was going to be in my life. I am excited to get into it, Dawn. Self-talk is one of my favorite topics to talk about. If everyone just tuning in or you're catching the replay, this is our fourth collaboration series of our what Dawn and I agreed to do for series podcast on coaching and exactly why you would want or have interest in a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so we highlighted some reasons why I felt, and Dawn has as well, a little bit a sneak peek into what it would be like to have either one of us as a coach. How is your self-talk going at the moment, Dawn?
That is a very good question, Anna. I think in our last podcast, I talked about the two perspectives of your wounded self perspective and your true aligned perspective. And I've had, as somebody who recovers from PTSD, I have a lot of experience with sitting in that wounded self perspective, which is fueled by fear often. And with that perspective and that fear come a whole packet of self-talk. That it sounds a certain way, it has a certain voice, a certain narrative, certain words that they use. And I'm very familiar with how critical and how full of self-doubt and undermining and gaslighting like this talk is. And my journey has been to, and is continuing to be, the discernment between recognizing that the self-talk that I was hearing even today was from the wounded self perspective, and how to bridge that gap over into my aligned self perspective, which is more loving and truthful and empowered and strong and healthy and creative and resourceful. And I think I have that balance very, very healthily these days. But today I was working with some wounded self-critical thoughts that come in to make me question whether I can judge my own and trust my own judgment. So that's where I'm at today, Anna.
Boy, is that huge.
I know.
Judgment is a part of that self-talk very much. And I love the fact that you mentioned gaslighting, how we can gaslight our own selves.
Yeah, definitely. Gaslighting yourself sounds like, oh, you're too sensitive. you're just being over, you're being ridiculous, or that didn't really mean that, or you're always taking things the wrong way, or are you sure that's how you felt? Maybe it wasn't right. All of that is such a familiar experience, especially for those of us who are on the more sensitive side of the scale, because we're so easily or can be so easily influenced into somebody going, are you sure? And you're like, oh, am I sure? Am I sure? I don't know. Am I sure? Oh my God. And then that self-talk starts. Have you experienced that, Anna?
Of course, many a times.
Mm.
And I've gotten to a place where I catch it at the thought. When I start, I've had enough self training and eternal work that I now recognize not only what energy and frequency I'm residing or speaking, and then I have to discern in those moments, is there a purpose that the vibration has shifted in my reality within me? Because our reality is a reflection of our own energy
Mm.
that we're emitting. As we've touched many times on our show together, that we're all frequency. Frequency is not just woohoo, it's science based, it's something that I believe to be true and feel and see. It's valuable, it makes sense to me, I can relate. So now I'm aware enough, I have enough self awareness that when I catch the thought, then the light bulb goes off, and then I think, okay, something has shifted in my reality
Mm.
within me.
Mhm. How
And
do you know
so,
that? How do you tell?
how can I tell?
Mm-hmm.
I would say because of the words that are being, the thought itself is
Mm.
um, tells me that that's not my organic, balanced, heart-centered self that knows already who they are,
Mm.
who and that I am
Mm-hmm.
whole and complete, and that I trust myself wholeheartedly. And so when the thought creeps up, then I'm like, okay, something has shifted. And
Mm.
my coach in my life, we have a mutual. One of our coaches is mentors is a mutual one, and what
Mm-hmm.
has shifted, I realize that there's nothing wrong with the shift in energy. That these are purposeful,
How do you mean?
meaning that I didn't learn it yet. I
Oh,
didn't learn
yes.
this
Mm-hmm.
process yet, or this lesson fully or completely. This is coming up for me to see and understand that there was something I missed here.
Mm.
It lingers if I'm not able to go, oh, okay, I need to rewire that, you know, go on now, come back to center, go into 0 point, go into my heart, which I call 0 point, or you call it the high heart. It doesn't matter, it's all connected. So in those moments, I'm able to see and feel, and then I surrender, because there's times that I am not able to. Then I realize there's a purpose. That's what I was getting at, is when I surrender to the process, that there's something for me to learn in this moment.
Mm. Yeah, I don't always notice the thought. Sometimes what I'm noticing is a shift in feeling first. Um, and what I've learned is that normally the the manifesting of the thought happens in my body, and up until I learned the techniques myself, and became aware of them, I had been compounding this feeling of ignoring these messages until they had got so loud that my body was either trembling, or I had jaw pain, or my shoulders ached or something. And my body, like my stomach, was tight. And it wasn't until I realized that the way that when I'm out of balance in my thinking, the inner critic showed up in my body primarily, that I could rein back. I could start to notice that shift earlier on and then act on it. So, like, I can feel that when I think about something that I'm working through at the moment, it feels fearful. I feel it in my stomach, and then I go, oh, hang on a second, I'm obviously feeling this. So what's the thought? What's going on? Like, maybe I'm busy that day, maybe I'm not as focused, maybe I'm parenting, maybe, whatever it is. And so the feeling is highlighting something that's going, no, you're out of alignment now. You're back in your wounded self perspective. You need to pause. You need to pause and ask yourself the question, hey, honey, what's going on? How are you? How are you feeling? What's coming up for you? Because otherwise the inner critic starts to, or the just that negative self-talk starts to compound, and it gets to a point where that train is so far down in that direction that it's harder to kind of catch it and then bring it back into truth. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. I mean, the unique, we all are unique and authentic to who we are, our signature light. That perhaps the way that you catch it is in the feeling body, and I catch it as soon as it starts, you know, not always at the thought, but let's say, for instance, I caught myself, if I'm in judgment, that's out of character for me. So then that's kind of like, oh, wait a minute, something shifted. That's what I mean. I now can catch it early enough that I realize that there is a process. And even in those moments as a coach, we walk the process. We talk and walk the talk. It is a daily, moment to moment check in. What vibration and what energy am I emitting in this moment? What self-talk am I, or is it self-talk? Is it about someone else? Is it about myself? I will use a little bit of an example. I was at a store in a parking lot, and I had just come out of the store, and there was a cute little old lady who needed assistance on her way out from someone who worked in there. And I saw a gentleman in the car. And when I first saw the man, I believed it was like maybe her husband, a little old man. Then I realized that it's not, it's a younger man, maybe my age or younger. And she's in a walker. And I immediately said, oh, shame on him. And then I said, in the same moment, I take that back. Why would I judge him? I don't know who he is. Maybe that's her driver, or maybe she wanted to do this on her own. Maybe she wanted to, I can do this. And so I was immediately aware that it went from like, oh, how cute, he's in the car waiting for her, he didn't feel like going shopping, to oh, shame on him. And then, oh, really?
Come back out again.
Come back. Yeah, yeah. So it's fascinating, this journey that you and I have been on for a long time, and many who are listening may want some assistance on this self-talk. Self-talk affects our DNA, our body, our reality. As many people know and heard, that water is programmable. People have understand that you can freeze water, program it with different conversation, and that water will come out in different shapes and crystals. And people have tried it with lake water, ocean. I mean, people have tried it with all kinds of things and then freeze it. And that's why a lot of people bless their drinking water, structured
Mm.
water with whatever. So what I'm getting at is if we know that about water and we're 70% water, our body is listening all the time to what we're saying about ourselves constantly. We're the programmers. We're
Mm.
constantly programming whatever it is that you're saying about yourself. My hair, your face, your skin, your features, your personality, your job, your home. It's constantly in record mode. And that's really what I want people to hear today is the things that we say, even not out loud. It affects our DNA and how the activation of our full potential, our destiny is waiting for us. But it's a process, like you said. And it starts off with the way that we go on this inner journey and we have this guidance from people like Don or myself or whoever you choose. Because you don't have to do this alone. That it is possible to think that you're beautiful and that being unique is the most beautiful thing you could offer the world and yourself is allowing this uniqueness.
How do you go about achieving that or doing that? What is it that you found that has helped you shift out of that wounded self perspective and into your true aligned vision of yourself and those thoughts?
Consistency and determination and resilience
Of what?
of my daily practices.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just continually doing my daily, not giving up just because I don't have the end results. We're coming up on 12, 12, 12. Everybody knows, everybody heard about 12, 12 or 11, 11 or things like that, without getting too woohoo about things. But we are coming up on an anniversary of 12 years where many of us wanted to take an inner journey and a longer look at the inside of ourselves and the conversation and a relationship we have with ourselves.
Mm.
And so this was a process. It didn't happen. I didn't like one day wake up and go, okay, I'm going to start talking nice to myself.
Mm-hmm.
Or many people read the book. I gave it to my daughter. What was the one that was going around that time? Oh gosh, I can't think of the name of the book right now, but everybody's heard about the law of attraction. We know about cause and
Oh,
effect.
The Secret?
The Secret. Yes,
Mm.
everybody has heard of The Secret. And a lot of people understand and are open more than ever to a heart-based reality and a different way of doing things. But many of us who have paved the way, who've done this work, are here now coming through to assist the collective and guiding the masses to the next stage of this heart centered reality that I'm talking about. But like I said, it's been a decade of work.
Mm.
It wasn't
Have you
some.
got any?
Go
Sorry.
ahead. You had a question for me?
Have you got any a tool or a practice that somebody can use today to start shifting themselves from that inner critic into truthful perspective?
With my guidance and their own inner guidance, depending on what level of service you're requiring or inquiring about. Um, it's a little bit more detailed.
That's cool. I think one of the things that I've found really powerful is starting to become aware of first and foremost what it is that I'm thinking, what I'm saying, because otherwise it just runs like a subconscious program and I'm not aware of it, or I haven't been aware of it. And so it just happens. And I see the outcome, but feel like confused as to how this keeps happening because I'm not entirely sure of the process of how I get there. So journaling will always be the first and foremost, the most powerful tool that I've ever used. And just to be able to every morning start to write down, like in the morning pages from the Artist Way book, just to be able to start to become my own witness to myself, to witness what I'm thinking, what I'm saying, how I'm thinking, what kind of things are running around in my subconscious, to bring them into the light, to bring them onto paper, so then I can start just to see, oh, this is what's running the show. This is what's going on. This is all right. And then I've got something tangible to work with, for the a massive part of my piece of my own puzzle has been about disempowerment. And within that, obviously, there's the self-love piece and the worth piece, but it's been primarily more of the disempowerment part. And so the inner critic and the self-talk was all linked to you can't, you shouldn't, you mustn't. Like keep yourself small, keep yourself invisible, that kind of stuff. People please. And by becoming aware of those kind of patterns, I'm then able to go, right, now I know I need somebody like you, Anna, to come and help me, support me on my journey for self-love, because I know that I need an outside support to come in to help me make the bridge from that wounded self perspective into that aligned self perspective. It's challenging to make that bridge because you're imprinting, creating neural pathways, new circuitry, new everything. And it's hard to imprint onto something that isn't there. Because all you know is what you've known, right? And so that's like Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about creating from the familiar known or the imagined future. A lot of this stuff is, okay, well, let's work. We know what the familiar known is. We're doing some work in our journaling. Now let's talk about the imagined future, acting as if, working with that. And our fellow coach Lauren, she talks a lot about acting as if in her work as well, and making that bridge is not always obvious. Making that leap, making that journey is not always obvious. That's why you and I have been called to offer the services that we have, because we know that we know personally that it's not always an obvious journey, and it's got its own blind spots and pitfalls, right?
Yeah, of course. And it really, journaling gives the control back into your hands. Like you said, you get to see it written. There's a little, you get to see, is there a pattern here? And like, when you take command of your morning and your day, is I assist people finding if they're conscious throughout their day. I assist people checking in with themselves every day, maybe 4 times a day or whatever, to constantly check, am I self-aware? We work on emotional intelligence. We work on their spiritual body, their emotional body, their physical health. All these components work together to make you a whole. And so that's really how I approach my clients is first I ask, they take an intake form, which asks them, what are they looking for in my services? Is there a specific area that they're looking for in their life? Is it about success? Is it about a job? Is it a relationship? Or is they're wanting self-love, to learn about this self-talk? And then from there, I will guide them in that direction. And then, using my modalities and tools that I have to assist my clients.
Powerful stuff. Yes.
One of the things that we can do and start doing every morning is I tell people to self-invest in yourself. The way that you talk to yourself is self-investing. Don't the shame, right? That why did I eat that? Oh my gosh, I wasn't going to eat that, and now I did. Oh, I said I was going to exercise today, but I didn't. I and I was speaking to someone the other day, and I said, "Why are you so hard on yourself?" So it's really bringing the awareness about that we're harder on ourselves than we are on our friends and family. And so what I'm teaching people is to bring that focus to self. If you're being hard on yourself and talking to yourself harder than you would talk to your best friend or your children, then there's assistance that perhaps may be needed, or to shift your awareness and perspective. Because sometimes that's all it really takes, is having that shift in perspective of, I didn't realize that. Oh, I think you're right. Or, I didn't realize I was being that self-sabotaging or self-critical.
Exactly.
Giving yourself permission. I know when you go see a trainer at the gym, they give you a routine. And if you've never worked out, they start you at a certain level. They don't start you off, up here at an expert level. There's beginning, intermediate, and someone who's done it a long time. We don't all start at the same place. It's depending on the person and what the individual needs.
Definitely. Yes.
When we wake up, we open our eyes, we welcome the day. And if you're not in that headspace, that you're not welcoming the day, it's okay, is what I'm trying to say. This isn't about perfection, because that's not how reality works. You don't have to be perfect to be balanced. Balance means you have both. Everybody's heard the scenario when they put a heart on one side of the scale and a feather on the other side. And the key was to keep the balance between the heart and the feather. Was your heart heavier than the feather? And I use this analogy about myself. It's like, where am I in each moment with myself? There's extremes to everything. The self-hate, or I'm not good enough. One of the things I tell people is, what do you want from whatever it is that you're seeking? Then take the steps that will get you to the next stage. You see it in a process versus the end game. So if you want to be more computer savvy in your business and you don't want someone else to be doing something like that for you, then what are the steps that you need to take to learn how to be more computer savvy? I would say that I would have to go find somebody and take a computer course. And if it's a college degree, it's something, what are the steps that need to be taken to do that? Oh, I don't have time. I don't think I could do that. I'm scared. I don't know. I've never really finished anything. I really don't know if I can get started on this. And as a life coach, I assist people showing them that it is possible.
Mm, that's powerful. I like that.
Yeah. We've talked about on our show, our last show was about, what was it? Oh, intuition. We were talking about
Mm.
intuition. We've talked about balance. And now we're talking about the way that we speak to ourselves.
It's important. I mean, for me, the end goal here is to be able to choose kindness, to know that I can, in any situation, choose kindness for myself instead of being on that hamster wheel of just self-hate and self-flagellation and just picking on myself and judging myself and staying in that what feels like in a perpetual state of torment and suffering. And most of us, most people, including me, believed that this was the cards we were dealt, that that was it, that there was not ever going to be a change or a shift, or this was just, some people are positive and some people have really hardcore thoughts, and that's not true. I've come to realize an extremely positive, upbeat, empowered person, but I had to learn the tools to help myself be disciplined with my own negative thoughts, but not in a harsh way. I wasn't being mean to myself in disciplining. I was disciplining myself to learn to be kind to myself. And within that, I found the softening of the armor around my heart, as well as the strengthening of my core. And that for me is the point. Because if we get to that, if that was one thing that you could achieve or do or focus or work towards for 2025, I would say that this would be it. Because within that, you become a safe person for yourself, and you become a safe person in your relationships for those around you as well. That's
Through,
cool.
through self-kindness, you're saying?
Yeah. Yeah. Because if you imagine that at the core of all of it, we're learning to feel safe within ourselves. But if you're beating yourself up all the time, you don't feel safe. If you're being mean to yourself, you don't feel safe. But if you learn to be kind, you can find safety in kindness for yourself.
Don, give me an example where you were being mean to yourself so that we're relatable.
So I would often call myself stupid. I would
Mm.
say that I was not an intelligent person. My memory was poor, which I didn't realize was because I spent so much time in overwhelm and anxiety. I just thought I was stupid and I didn't feel very clever. I didn't feel very creative. I didn't really know I had anything to offer the world. And so I just thought I was stupid. And with that comes a great deal of constriction and rigidity, and it feels energetically, it feels like spikiness, like just very like a hedgehog, the spikes of a hedgehog around your heart. And by learning to be kind to myself and saying, all right, that's how you feel about yourself today, but what if that's not true? Oh, poor you. Poor you for feeling sad. Poor you for feeling that you're stupid. Poor you for feeling that way. You know, poor honey. And being kind, nurturing, tender with myself meant that I could move through that, release the attachment to that feeling, and in its place create something new. Does that make sense?
It does. And it's so unique because, like, for myself, I never felt stupid. It was the opposite. Like I always had this reflected. I think I spoke about it. I was always reflected, oh, she's going to be all right. Anna's got it. Anna can do
Mm,
anything. We don't have to worry about her. She's going to be okay. She doesn't need anything.
mm,
So I felt alone.
mm,
But then what it caused in my life was to diminish my light, to minimize. I would minimize who I was in the workplace so that my peers in reflection didn't feel threatened by my beingness.
mm,
And also through my mentorship with my mentors, I was sometimes very on my masculine energy. And so that dominance would come in. And so I've learned through this process to be more balanced.
mm,
So then what I'm emitting isn't so threatening or so, there's a difference between being bossy and being a boss.
yes.
Yeah. And so these are things I had to learn. And
Mm,
so the hate would come from, I had to figure out why these people were doing that, right? But always again, you have to come back to yourself. Why was it that I was experiencing these moments in my life?
mm,
Because it's really easy to project the outside world as being the reason why we, are the way that we are. I mean, there is part of that is true, but it's not the whole
mm,
truth. I wanted to read something about one of the comments is from Yasmin. Hi, Yasmin, love. I find myself struggling with being able to reach out and help family members still struggling with awakening. They're very paranoid and unkind to others, but I am one being called to help. How can I not diminish my light with still doing the work? That is a beautiful question, Yasmin. Thank you for that. And my answer for you is by being. When we are in our being, we are the example of what it is to be whole, balanced, enlightened, perhaps, if you people want to use that word, or that might scare people off. Like, what? She thinks she's enlightened? You know, by being, in your whole completeness, in your power, and doing the things, just taking the next step and investing in yourself, then the world around you starts auto correcting. It is not our job to rescue people. I am not here to rescue anyone. I am here to assist you find your own rescue. No one can rescue us but ourselves. That is misinformation and misguidance. Your fight is with ourselves. And so when we just focus here and continue to do us, the rest we let go of wanting to assist those around us. Unless it's called, like, nobody loves unsolicited advice,
mm, mhm,
right? And so if I can remember that, I don't always remember that. I've deleted a text earlier today before sending it because I was about to respond to something. Then I thought, She didn't ask me about that. I'm not going to give her advice. Then it's basically my opinion from
Mm.
my perspective and what the uniqueness that I offer. You're welcome, Yasmin. I love you. Thank you for your support. I oh no, I lost my thought. I offer people a way to find their own inner truth in their own way, their own unique way. There isn't a template that's designed for everyone. That saying that there's no one snowflake is the same about the human species. We may all be humans, but none of us look alike. There's something different
Mm.
in all of us and unique. There's a uniqueness to us. And not everyone learns the same. Not everyone listens the same, talks the same, eats the same, likes the same things. I during the election season, there's lots of, things, people's opinions. And as a coach, I remain neutral because I don't coach people based on their beliefs. I don't coach people based on their religious beliefs, their politic beliefs, their relationships, colors, size. I coach people from a neutral perspective on a non judgmental, free way of seeing things, finding and guiding people into their own power, taking their power back, putting people back into the driver's seat and seeing their own self worth, seeing their own self esteem, and investing in their lives versus other people's lives. And that is my ultimate passion, is showing people. It starts with me. It starts with Anna. I go out, I have friends, and I speak like this a lot. My friends are like, oh, free coaching. And they laugh. And so I'm so passionate about people finding their truth and their love for themselves. That's all I want to, that's my joy because of how I feel about myself. And so it starts there. It starts with us and keeping it here. And then it goes to our husbands, our relationships, our children, our friends. But it has to start with us. And remembering, again, is this unsolicited advice? My brain will lie to me. Where am I? In my heart or am I in my mind? Is this really true? Am I in fear? Fear is a good one. Fear, if you're afraid of something, fear is the first red light to go for it, lean into it, figure out why you're scared. And then call me and I'll help you or assist you. I'm trying to get away from helping because I'm really not helping anyone. I'm assisting them in their own truth because they
Mm.
already know this. I'm just helping them or assisting them to uncover it.
I
I get
love that.
going and I get excited.
It's good. Means that you're in the right place, doing the right thing.
How many people understand the way that our DNA works? How many people understand, that water was programmable, that, I had spoke about that earlier, that it dictates the way that we talk to ourselves, affect their daily lives.
Mm.
And that if we're unconsciously living, then who's living our lives?
Mm.
I had a friend tell me, I really want to live. I don't want to just exist any longer. How powerful is that? Ooh, it makes my
Yeah.
eyes well up, because I think about how many of us are going through our day existing, but aren't living our lives.
Mm. It's true. Yeah.
And what does that mean? What does it mean to live your life? You think, okay, I went to work today. I paid my bills. I did what everybody told me to do. You know, I'm living, right? I mean, somebody could tell me that. What does that mean? Living versus existing. Do you have something you want to add to that, Dawn?
There is, I mean, that's a whole massive topic, I think, Anna. How do I summarize that? I think there is existing is living in that wounded self perspective where you are boxed in, armored up, and basically on the defense, trying to do your best and still feeling like you're living a life that somebody else has prescribed to you with their own set of rules and their own things that you have to follow and do and should do to achieve and not achieve. And ultimately, on the whole, for the majority, that feels hollow. And then when you start to de-armor and start to really connect into your thoughts, your feelings, the truth of who you are, start to understand that you're more than just your wounded self, your heart comes online. It starts to remember what it feels like to be alive, what it feels like to love, what it feels like to be passionate and interested in things, what it feels like to connect and to be intimate, to be creative. It wants to be expressed in cooking, in art, in gardening, in friendships, in all sorts of things. And then we start to remember what it means to be alive. I think that's how I'd summarize that.
I think it was beautiful. I mean, it looks different to each and every one of us.
Mm.
And that's so important. The self-talk about, oh, before we finish the show, this, like about existing. I mean, like just being, how do you get to this place where you're like wanting to get out of bed, right? To be one of those people like, this just doesn't seem real, right? Like you have that much joy. And that's
Yeah.
what I mean about assisting people finding that joy is it really does exist. And we just have to continue being who we are. And other people will be curious of why you are the way that you are. We have to unravel the wounds. We unravel and look at what's keeping me from finding that joy, what's keeping me from living and just existing. And then I assist and guide you into those steps. And it's a process.
Yes. A good one.
A very good one. It's been a
I love it.
joy of mine to do this collaboration with you, Dawn. I am so grateful and honored to walk beside you. I look forward to
Likewise.
connecting with you. If you ever have something you want to connect about, let me know, and I'm more than willing to collaborate again. Does anybody have any other questions before for Dawn or I before we get off the show? I don't see any more questions. Love is who we are, ultimately.
Yeah.
Love is everywhere around us. And when we're not in that place, we just find ways to get back to that place. And sometimes you need assistance, and it's okay to ask for help. We're too busy, being a mom and a dad and having a business and a job. Sometimes we need some assistance having somebody mow our lawn. That's what I mean. We have assistants, somebody doing our yard work. Some people have housekeepers come in once a month, do some detail cleaning. We have assistants with tutoring for our children. We have assistance in so many ways in our lives. And so we don't have to neglect ours. And having assistance and guidance is a beautiful journey that you don't have to do this alone. Not at all.
No, I love it.
I love you guys. Thanks for tuning in to my collab. I'm Anna Toothman. I'm a purposeful life coach. Visit my website at Anna Toothman, purposefullifecoach.com, and check out my services. Dawn, do you have anything you want to introduce about your Heartful Academy that you have going or coming up?
All of my products, services, everything that I offer, you can find at dawnlust.com or the heartfulacademy.com. They point you in the same direction. At the moment, I'm in the middle of a program launch, and I've got a couple of coaching spots becoming available in January. Apart from that, everything else is on my website. Yeah.
Well, you can catch any of my episodes on YouTube. Happy holidays, everybody. I look forward to connecting with anyone and everyone. Bye bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, Dawn.
Bye, Anna.